Are you into making your heart race? Have you dreamt about hearing children's laughter echoes in a childless house, sounds of piano, while the bench seems to be unoccupied? Do you want your car's door to slam loudly when it's locked, or floor to squeak when you're home alone? If yes, you're probably the most insane person I've ever met. Also, it means that you need to visit these houses I'm going to mention in today's top, as they're the most haunted places in the world. Let's get scared from the heart. The Pillars Estate. This house is the true embodiment of Greek Revival style. From the roaring lions greeting you to post-Civil War architectural details, modern renovations. Actually, it's the perfect setting for a ghost story connected with this house. The ghostly rumors began when the home was being renovated to return it to its original grandeur. A family member, sitting outside the home, saw a child peering out a basement window. Not long after that, a workman swore he heard another child talking to him. And they're not alone. The woman in the classical white dress has been spotted lounging in a bedroom, and the homeowners and staff members have heard strange footsteps from behind them on the stairs. If you have a spare $1 million, you can certainly spend it on the Pillars Estate. The Schweppe Mansion. This massive storybook home is situated on the coast of Lake Michigan. It was originally built in 1917 for newlyweds Laura and Charles Schweppe. Unfortunately, their marriage came to a tragic end 20 years later, when Laura died of a heart attack. Reportedly, she gave a mere fraction of her family fortune to her husband, while the lion's share was left to her children. 4 years after burying his wife, Charles committed suicide, leaving behind a bizarre note: "I've been awake all night. It's terrible." To this day, the true reason for his death still isn't clear, but many people familiar with the story believe that Charles wished to reunite with his beloved in the afterlife. Their cherished mansion is still inhabited by them. They reportedly hang around one of its many bedrooms. This place is currently available for an astonishing $9.5 million, though its sellers are still struggling to find a buyer. The Watcher House of Westfield. Undoubtedly, this house seems to be just perfect. Who will refuse from a 6-bedroom mansion, situated in a calm suburb? Buying such a wonderful house seems to be a really pleasant experience. The Broaddus family, moved in this place, was of the same view. That's why it didn't expect dealing with any negative and even dangerous experience during staying there. Nevertheless, it occurred. It was June 2014, and Derek, the new owner of the house, had spent the day repainting various rooms inside his property. When he had finished, he decided to check the mailbox outside. Aside from the normal bills, there was a plain white envelope, addressed to the new owner. The note inside seemed welcoming enough, before it developed into something else entirely. There was following information in the letter. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, and as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. The so-called Watcher was aware of the names of Derek's children. Thus, it meant that this man had access to this house observation. In his letters he claimed that 657 Boulevard required fresh blood. After this bullying, Derek decided to call the police. Nevertheless, it turned out to be useless, as the Watcher wasn't caught and even identified. Luckily, he didn't physically harm the Broaddus family, but only contributed to their future removal to the new place by the way of constantly sending odd letters. The Watcher House of Westfield is available for purchase right now and costs $1.3 million, so you can buy it if you're brave and wealthy enough. Hampton Lillibridge House. Despite its fresh facade, this house is the immensely old one. It was originally built by Rhode Islander in 1796. Notably, the Hampton Lillibridge House is one of the very few 18th century residences which survived the Great Fire in 1820. The Hampton Lillibridge House is notorious for its bad reputation, which can be explained by the plenty of paranormal incidents occurring there. There have been many tragic deaths and stories of real ghosts residing there. Let's plunge in the history of this place to explain all incidents. After Hampton Lillibridge died, his wife remarried and sold the house. The house was bought and sold a number of times and it became a boarding house. During that period, it's believed that a sailor hung himself on the 3rd story of the house. Jim Williams, the new house owner, decided to restore and relocate this building. When the workers were moving the house, strange things constantly happened. Tools and equipment of the workers disappeared or were relocated. All of that was complemented with mocking laughter and sounds of footsteps. Jim Williams also experienced many abnormal things in the house. For example, once he saw a shadowy figure and followed it all the way to the top story of the house. The figure then disappeared behind a door, which was tightly locked and couldn't be opened. Neighbors reported seeing shadowy figures through the windows of the house. Many had seen a shadow of a man in black suit and bow tie, standing at the window upstairs. The Amityville House. Probably practically everyone here has heard about this house at least once. Its contribution to world culture can be hardly overestimated. Lots of stories, books and films were based on the real accident happened in this place. One of the most famous cases of a haunted house started on the night of 13th November of 1974. 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo shot his parents Ronald and Louise, brothers Mark and John, and sisters Dawn and Allison, while they slept peacefully in their Amityville home. After the last bullet was fired, he cleaned himself up, and went to work as usual. After returning home, he called the police to claim that he had discovered his family dead, face down in their beds. However, police revealed inconsistencies in his story, and DeFeo confessed and was convicted of murder with 6 consecutive life sentences. The house remained empty only for 13 months. The new owners bought the property and furniture of the previous residents with full knowledge of their dark past. No wonder the horrors never leave them in Amityville. Kathy Luth began having vivid nightmares and noticed large numbers of flies swarming in parts of the house. Meanwhile, the children began sleeping face down, so in just the exact same position as the DeFeo family members had been found dead. A little later George Lutz found a small storage room with red walls. Although it seemed like a harmless closet, the family dog refused to go near it. All in all, it's only the smallest part of all horrors, which the Lutz family experienced there. Eventually, the family left Amityville, and it's now for sale for $850,000. The Sally House. As the legend goes, little girl Sally died from a botched appendectomy around 1905. She apparently never forgave the doctor and has repeatedly attacked males who enter the house. Although Sally House was built in the 1870s, nearly all of the paranormal activity started in the 1990s, when a young married couple moved into this place. Apart from the ghost of a little girl attacking males and leaving scratch and burn marks on them, the other paranormal phenomena have also been observed at Sally House. For example, the sounds of animals and people, unexplainable thumps, knocks, thuds, and the sounds of non-existent furniture moving. Apart from that, lights turned on and off independently, dogs barked at unseen objects. Indeed, the list of paranormal activities occurring there can be continued endlessly. The Franklin Castle. This property is shrouded in mysteries, bad reputation, and string of murders. That's all about the Franklin Castle. The Victorian home has gained widespread notoriety as the most haunted home in Ohio. It was built in the 1880s by Hannes Tiedemann, the rich banker. Although his wealth was significant, Tiedemann's life was complemented with tragedy. A large number of his family members would die in this house, including his 15-year-old daughter, his mother, and 3 children, who died in infancy. Tiedemann decided to decorate the house with turrets and prominent gargoyles, create large network of rooms to distract his wife from the ceaseless string of deaths. However, he didn't succeed, as she suddenly passed away. The only thing the man could do was to sell the property and go to nowhere. That's exactly what he did. The charming Forge Mansion. This historic mansion has a long history of paranormal activity. The best-known tale associated with the property narrates the tragic death of a young man, whose name has now been lost to time. As the story goes, the man was traveling by horseback to reunite with his lover, living at the mansion. When he arrived, the man spied his sweetheart in the window. In a moment of excitement, he suddenly stood up in his stirrups, and it spooked the animal. The horse reared up and threw the man to his death right there on the mansion steps. The ghost of the hapless rider wanders around the property, while the ghost of his heartbroken fiancée can be spotted in an upstairs window. Obviously, you can accompany them, but at first you need to pay over $1 million for such an extraordinary experience. The Ma Baker House. At first sight, Mrs. Blackburn seemed to be a rather ordinary woman. However, later it revealed that she was infamous criminal matriarch Ma Barker, who had aided her sons in several kidnapping and robbery excursions. No wonder once the FBI surrounded the house, firing 2,000 rounds of ammunition into it, as Ma and her son Freddie fired back. By the end, Both were dead. Now it's believed that their ghosts inhabit this house. As for Ma, she's into switching lights on. The price of the property is estimated at over $889,000. The Winchester House. Sarah Lockwood Party Winchester was the owner of the Winchester Mansion. Indeed, her life was full of tragedies. She lost her baby daughter and, later, her husband, who passed too early for his age. In fact, Sarah Winchester firmly believed in spiritism. In her despair she visited a medium in Boston, who told her that she was haunted by everyone who was ever killed with a Winchester rifle. It's important to remark that her husband used to be the treasurer to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, producing firearms. The medium explained that Sarah needed to move west and buy a house for herself and the spirits, and that she must never stop construction of the house. Additionally, he said that if she ever did stop, the spirits would continue to curse her. Such advice resulted in the building of the enormous mansion, consisting of 150 rooms. Besides, the house can boast 2 ballrooms, 40 bedrooms, almost 10,000 panes of glass, and more than 45 fireplaces. It's believed that there are secret passageways within the structure that have yet to be found. Here's the end of the video. I hope you're satisfied with the online tour over the most haunted houses in the world. Maybe you'll even delight one of the realtors trying to sell these houses by purchasing the property. What house would you like to move in and which one did you find the spookiest one? Share your ideas in the comments. Also don't forget to like and share the video. See you soon.